What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Fans Voice. All right, I got a couple things I would like to talk about. So I'm just going to start off with Shador Sanders. There's so much hype coming up, with him coming into the league. Everybody thinking that he's going to be a first round pick. Personally, thought that he was going to be third or fourth round kind of guy. It's not that he did horrible in college. I don't know. It's just nothing really like spoke to me about like that he was going to be a first round candidate. I mean, he played with Buffalo, and before that was Jackson State, and he never really got that um like that real big competition like in the bigger schools, the tougher schools, the tougher conferences. So in all honesty, like I didn't really have that belief in him. And I will say that I wasn't, necessarily a big fan of his what you want to call it. Kind of like his attitude, and he really did come out as this real cocky person. But throughout as season went on, I honestly started saying at least he did pretty well with the media. I think he did really good with the media. In all honesty, answering their questions good, handling their criticism. So I give him props on that. The problem is like when you look at what he did this year really don't believe that he should have made the Pro Bowl. Like, I just think that it's ridiculous. The Pro Bowl is supposed to be, the players who actually did good, and he didn't do good at all. He flashed moment. That was about it, but most of the time he didn't do so good. He only had 56% on completions, and for the quarterbacks who threw 200 or more passes, he had the worst touchdown to interception ratio amongst those quarterbacks. So to me, that just showing that he isn't making the best decisions when it comes to throwing the ball. And also, like, he's got a lot to learn. I know that. And I know it doesn't help that he was taking sacks. I don't know. It's probably just a combination of, the aged O-line not be able to keep up on top of his inexperience. And I know for a fact that he was probably taking sacks that he shouldn't have. In his 8 games that he played, he got sacked 23 times. So if he would have played a full season, he would have been closer to 50 sacks on a season. And I know the Browns offensive line isn't horrible. They're just, excuse me, they're just old. So I personally just think he did take a lot of sacks that he probably shouldn't have, and that probably affected some of his decision making. And I do know that there were a lot of drops by his wide receivers. I know that don't help. That offense needs to figure out something to help out their quarterback situation. And they need to figure out how to develop quarterbacks because I really don't see Shador being able to get all that much better being in Cleveland. Mm, I don't, and it's definitely not going to be his fault because Cleveland is quarterback hell for quarterbacks. So for you Cleveland Browns fans, I am sorry, but you kind of dug your own grave. Shador is dude, he needs to go somewhere that can absolutely develop him, and then I think he can be good. But he didn't. He's not going to have people to help him develop, and it's sad to say. I think that's enough for Shador. So I'm going to move on to the Raiders. So the Raiders they got a lot that they need to work on, and I know most people believe that they should go Fernando Mendoza with the first overall pick. I don't think they should do that just because there's so many more things that they need to work on. and I don't think they're ready for a rookie quarterback at all. I think they should find somebody that's going to be in the free agency. I mean, go for Tua Tagovailoa. I think that would be a better option than throwing in a rookie who has potential and then just throwing him to the wolves. I don't think that that's smart at all. Sign Tua and then use a free agency and bring in some O-line help, wide receiver help, and they need a little bit of everything. That's the sad part. Figure out what they're gonna do with Max Crosby. I know I would want to keep him, but I'm starting to lean on him wanting to go somewhere else because he is tired of being in this situation. He's doing all he can to help keep that team afloat, but there's only so much an edge rusher can do. If your offense can't score, you can't just keep going 100% all the time and then get injured, then have to try to fight through the injury just to hopefully keep your team afloat. It's not a good situation for him. So if I were him, I'd want to get out of there. I'd want to get traded somewhere else. And the Raiders, they would be able to get a first round pick and some change. I don't think he's going to be 2 first round picks because he is a little bit older and he hasn't like produced as much as, let's say, TJ Watt and Miles Garrett, where you will get 2 or more 1st round picks for them. And it's not, I guess, not that premier, quote unquote premier position like quarterback where you will get, 2, 3 1st round picks for them. Um, but I think it would be more of a win-win situation. And then the Raiders would be able to go in and they'd be able to sign. Let's go with like Bradley Chubb, for example, because he just got released and he can get in there and he can still do a little bit of something something. And then you could pair him with a young guy that you get in the draft. I think they need one of their biggest needs. They need to get a pass catcher and O line help. Um, because that O line was one of the worst in the league. They had one of the worst O-lines, in all honesty. I mean, Genty, he got the most 0 or negative yards by a running back out of anybody else in the league. And I'm pretty sure it was like he had 68 where he got stopped at the line of scrimmage or 4. And then I think second place was within 10 or just outside of 10. But then third place, I think it was CMC, but that he was like in the 30s. So that is such a big gap between him. Let's go third place, just because that's the one I can remember the most right now. So that O line really needs some help, and I wouldn't want to throw a rookie quarterback on a team that essentially doesn't have an O line. It's not gonna be good for him, and then he won't have anybody to throw to besides Brock Bowers. That is the most reliable and the best target that they got. Trey Tucker isn't a wide receiver 1, so they need to get somebody who is reliable. There's 2 guys that I've been seeing, like, one of them could be a cap casualty, Michael Pittman. He can go in there and still be a good threat and a good reliable target for any quarterback in there. Uh, like Pierce, he's starting to become a pretty good wide receiver. My only problem is that I'm hearing that he's gonna want like 25 million a year. I don't think that he's worth that kind of money. I would give him personally 15 to 18 million a year. Um, and see where he goes from there, just because I like consistency, and he has been getting better each and every year. Pretty sure his rookie season was like 500 something yards. Then he went to like 800 something, and then now he's at like 1,000. So I see the progression. I want to see him hit like another 1,000 yard season or more. Personally, I want to see him get like that 12, 1,300 yard season before I go and pay him 25 or more million a year. But the Raiders should trade back, and I think they could get a big haul in and then they'll be able to go in there and get a bunch of young guys for on cheap deals. You can develop them, and then come next season, whether it in 2027, where there's going to be a better quarterback crop that they can choose from. So that's what I would aim for if I were the Raiders, and I think that's the smartest decision. And then you'd already have at least what would seem like a decent team to put a rookie quarterback behind you. Build up the O line. Let's get a veteran guy out of the free agency, and then you can draft a guy because I know they're going to need a guard. They got Jackson Power Johnson, but they're going to need somebody else. They need another offensive tackle. Now, I'm pretty sure they need a center as well. I mean, I know you can bump Jack Sparrow Johnson at center because he did both in college, but I know he's been doing really good at guard, so you might as well just keep him there. But, I ain't in charge of the Raiders, and we all know that they aren't going to. Most people believe, and I believe, that they're going to stick at one and then draft Mendoza. And sadly, more than likely, he's just going to do what I think is going to happen. He's going to get frustrated, he's going to get beaten up, and his confidence is going to go way down because he's getting hit and nobody's catching the ball. So hopefully the Raiders make some smart decisions, especially with that cap that their cap that they're going to have. They're going to have one of the best, if not the best, I think. So they need to put that into good use and figure something out. Get that O line, get some wide receivers in there, and that'll help out so much. All right. Well, next we're going to stick with the AFC West, and I feel like talking about the Chiefs right now. Um, a surprise letdown from them. Like, I didn't think they were going to be the best team in AFC, but I did not think they were going to have a 6-11 season. But when you go back and look, kind of makes sense. They kind of been on a little bit of a downfall, and then the Super Bowl probably was just a kick in the nards for them. Something that they really need to do. They need to get their big play ability back. They haven't had those electrifying plays that they usually do have, and it doesn't help that their wide receivers are getting hurt. And honestly, none of them are really all that reliable. Rasheed Rice is good, but he's trying to turn into Tyreek Hill already. And I know that is a rumor that he's going to be coming back, but I guess we will find out about that one. And I know they had a lot of injuries this season, and so they need to get healthy, and that'll help out a lot. Who knows if Patrick Mahomes is even going to play this season coming up? And if he does, it won't be till late. But at that point, if I was the Chiefs and if I was Mahomes, I'd be like, all right, let's sit out. Let's make sure that this leg is completely 100%, because you don't want your franchise quarterback going in there and just getting hurt for no reason, especially if you're already not winning. Um, then there would be no point to have your quarterback come in there and risk getting injured again. But they really do need to find a running back because Isaiah Pacheco is really not cutting it, and neither is Kareem Hunt. They're not getting those explosive runs. They're not getting big plays, and nothing is truly happening on the ground. So if I would definitely aim for somebody like Brees Hall in a free agency. I think he would be actually very ideal for the Chiefs. He's a really good runner, and he is a threat out of the backfield in the passing game, which work out perfectly for them. Especially when Mahomes comes back, I think that would be a very scary offense just by adding Brees Hall in there. If not, then there's Jeremiah Love. My only problem with that is there's two teams that draft right before the Chiefs that also need running back, and that's the Commanders and the Saints. How likely are they to get him? I have no idea. But I know there is a good chance that they would get him. So it's hard to believe that it's a highly likely situation that they will get him. But so I honestly, I'd go for Brees Hall. That's my top choice for the Chiefs to get for running back. And that would help elevate that offense a lot. Um, especially since they were 25th in rushing this season. So they gotta figure something out right there. They need to get another guard. They need to get some depth at offensive line because once they get somebody to go down, all of a sudden they're screwed. And you saw that in the Super Bowl. They were very thin at the offensive line position, and they got absolutely wrecked by 4 guys. That's all the Eagles did in the Super Bowl, send 4 guys, and Mahomes looked like he was fighting for his life. And then they were also 21st in scoring, and I think that comes with the lack of their big play ability. Those electrifying plays that they haven't seemed to be having, and on top of the running game just not being there. I'm not saying they got to have the best running game, but it still needs to be a threat because you got Patrick Mahomes, and he loves throwing and Andy Reid, he loves throwing the ball, but the ground game isn't a threat. So, is that something you got to worry about? I don't think so. So let's get a running back in there that is going to make people like, hey, we got to watch for that guy. And if it's somebody like Breece Hall, they're like, we really got to watch for that guy because he can either run it or he's going to catch it and he can break big for them. And he's done it. So it can happen. He is a really good running back. And I think that guy is going to do something good once he leaves the Jets. So let's look at the defense a little bit, because another thing that they really do need is they need to get after the quarterback, because they don't allow a lot of yards and they don't give up a lot of points. That really isn't the problem. One of the problems is they don't create turnovers and they aren't getting after the quarterback as much. And I think what could help create more turnovers is going to be them getting an edge rush again. They need to get somebody, not just an edge rush, but a pass rush. They didn't really have one. They had 35 sacks, which I believe was 4th or 5th worst in the league. Hold on, I got it. Never mind. Sorry about that one. They were 25th. They were 25th in sacks, which means there were 7 teams that was worse than them, 7 or 8. Anyways, so they really need to get that pressure up. They get the pressure up. They get the pressure up on the quarterback. Get that quarterback starting to feel froggy back there. They need to they'll start pulling the trigger earlier or making these bad decisions, which will help their defenders jump in front of the ball. Then they'll be able to create those turnovers because that was a problem for them. They had one of the worst. Now let me see. It was 4th worst. They only had 14 takeaways. 4th worst in the league. That's horrible. They had -1 turnover differential. The offense wasn't giving up anything. They had 5th best in turnover and giving away turnovers. They didn't give up that much. They gave up 15, which is really good. Your offense isn't turning the ball over, isn't making things worse for you. It's your defense. It's not giving your offense a chance by not getting the turnovers. So I feel like they get the edge rush in there. That's going to the pass rush in there. That's going to help out so much for those turnovers. So that's another thing I could see the Chiefs going for in the first round. So like if you get Breece Hall in the free agency, which I think they should, and I like that option in all honesty, and I'm not a Chiefs fan, but for you Chiefs fans, for the Chiefs themselves, it would be a great idea. And then go and get an edge rusher in the first round. Like they could get Keldrick Folk. I think that's somebody that I did a mock for, and I think that would be a good position for the Chiefs to go for. But the Chiefs, they really do have a lot that they need to work on. Especially with Mahomes possibly not even playing next season, so they got to figure out quarterback too, because unless they've really just going to go, I don't remember who their backup is right now. Unless they just want to stick with that and just be like, all right, well, let's just shoot for a good draft a good position next season and build up our team even more. A scary thought that came to my mind. I would hate it, but it'd be good for this player, Jeremiah Smith. I mean, like if the Chiefs can get a top five draft pick next year, then they would be able to aim for Jeremiah Smith, who arguably is the best player in college football right now, and he could be coming out into the draft next season. So, since that'll be after his third, this season coming up is going to be his third. And he's already an electrifying, amazing player. He was great his freshman year. So if the Chiefs would get a hold of him, then I think Patrick Mahomes would be in love. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think, and go ahead and like and subscribe. And I will talk with you guys later.